No.
This is the end?
No.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I don't know.
What is Turbo?
Turbo?
Turbo.
It's about a snail who has aspirations to be a race car and does so within a series of shenanigans involving a taco truck.
He becomes a race car?
Kinda. I mean, he's got all the attributes of a race car. I mean, he has backup lights and...
The snail does?
The snail does, yes.
How does he... Is he born a race car? Does he...
Oh, no, he magically gets sucked into a street car and gets fused with nitrous oxide.
And that turns him into a race... I get that it's an animated, like, kids movie, but this just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, the taco stand, what?
Taco stand, right. So, basically, him and his brother get kicked out of their society, and Bird picks him up and drops him on a taco truck that apparently takes them to the strip mall, where they're so bored they race snails, and in order to make the taco truck and the strip mall more popular, they join the Indy 500.
They have a snail race car, and they don't use that to get famous. They don't use that as their gimmick. They decide to actually race it, and snails aren't race cars. Like I get this is a kids movie.
Yes.
But snails are not going to be in the Indy 500. Like, this sounds like the punchline of a really bad dad joke that they turned into a movie.
It kind of is.
How do they end up going to the Indy 500, though?
Okay, so the taco stand is owned by two brothers, and it's called Dos Bros Tacos. And the older brother is the taco genius. The younger brother is, like, trying to share his brother's talent with the world in the most weird way possible. So he takes their life savings and gets the other people in the strip mall to help him out and give him money. And him and the other people from the strip mall ditch his brother back at the taco stand and strip mall, and they head to the Indy 500 with $20,000 to enter their snail.
A couple of things. I don't think it's just $20,000 to enter the Indy 500. I mean, granted, I don't know, but those cars cost like $3 million themselves. But
they got a free snail.
So he steals his brother's and his money.
Oh, get this too. The brother's stove breaks down, and that's how he finds out the money's gone, because he goes to get the money to pay for a new stove to keep the taco stand up and going. And he's like, yeah, and there's like an IOU note kind of in there, like, sorry.
Of course there is. Alright, so, given all this,
yes,
I can accept so far that it is just, like I said, just a kid's movie. But how in the heck do they actually let a snail into the Indy 500? That still just doesn't make any sense.
The power of viral videos.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, explain.
Okay, so they arrive at the qualifiers to try to get him in there. They, like, give the money and they try to get him there, and he races around the track, and this kid who's there for some reason captures it on his phone and then uploads it to the internet, and everybody starts to see it. You know how if you make something into a remix song, of course it's auto-tuned.
Oh my gosh.
That's how you remix a song, don't you know? I'm like half sure that Snoop Dogg wrote it because he's in here.
Snoop Dogg is in this?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's in this.
Right about now, I'm moving so fast, the whole world's going in slow
motion, baby. It becomes popular via viral video, all this pressure to let him race, and you really think he's going to say no. And then the race car driver, who happens to be the snail's hero, is like, let him race. And, like, CEO's like, well, I guess I kind of have to. And then the snail finds out his hero is actually a jerk who's letting him race so he can get more popularity, you know.
So his lifelong hero got him into the race so that he could
humiliate him and become more popular himself, I guess. It's not the best plan a movie villain has ever had.
I would say not. That doesn't even make sense.
I'm really not even sure he's supposed to be a villain. I mean, he shows up for the last, third of the movie.
It would make more sense, though, if, this is the popular snail, I want to keep him out of the race so that the race is focused on me. Why don't they... Okay, so they have a snail that can go over, 200 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Why don't they just sell that as a gimmick to the race company or whoever it is and just make money selling it as an attraction? They could probably make more money doing that because it's guaranteed.
Honey.
You don't make money if you don't...
This is a DreamWorks movie. You forget that. It is the same formula. Just think about it. It is the classic person living in this mundane life. He's literally living in a plant, which is signifying...
Like a factory?
Yeah, factory workers.
Oh.
And it's the underdog who everybody thinks is, he's weird, so, we don't like him. And so he is the underdog that eventually gets to his dream, and then his dream is fulfilled, and then everybody loves him.
Yeah, when you really think about it, a lot of these movies are pretty similar.
I mean, this is kind of a ripoff of Ratatouille. I think Ratatouille came first, but it's pretty much the exact same thing, but with a snail. And
Ratatouille's Disney, though.
I know. That's the point.
So they're ripping
spoon feeding our children the same old story. Shoot for your dreams, you will get them because you're the underdog. The people who are really, really good at this, they're jerks. You're the underdog. It's like all sports movies.
That's true. All sports movies are basically the underdog.
I hate sports movies. This movie was cute when I first saw it, but yeah, explaining it to you is it's a whole new world.
Where is his brother during all of this?
Whining about everything, mainly making the most sense out of everyone in the movie. Oddly enough, but you're not supposed to like him because he's the one. Well,
because he's actually talking truth.
Yes.
And being the voice of reason, and that makes him the bad guy.
I mean, yeah, this is a children's movie. You forget that you're supposed to just blindly follow your dreams. With no regards for anything else or anyone else.
Okay, so they let him into the race. Mm-hmm. I assume he gets crushed by a giant vehicle who's racing, who can't see a snail.
No, but they do a really interesting cartoon graphic of it that they put up on the Jumbotron. Of looking like he's getting crushed. Come to think of it, actually, I think there's a lot of animal death in this movie.
Animal death?
Can't talk. I can't.
Yeah, I think there's some decent amount of death.
This movie is getting odder and odder. So how does the race go?
Okay, well, so he gets in the race, and he's at first trying to race like a car, and then his other snail buddies are like, snail up, race like a snail, which apparently means driving under cars and on walls, and I don't know if anyone's ever done that, where they drive up on the wall and get past somebody. I don't think that's physically possible.
Usually when that happens, they have to stop the race and clean up the car. Sweep the car off the track.
Okay, so you know the bad guy, his name's like Guy Gagne or something like that. Basically, Guy causes an accident between everybody. During the crash, he broke his shell. And before that, he cracked it, and then it broke. And the weirdest part is it acts like it's in his bloodstream, but it's also a part of his shell, and then his shell cracks, and I guess the nitrous floods out.
Can't snails just change their shells?
Yes. Turbo has now essentially lost his abilities, and he just sort of crawls up into himself, and there's a huge crash of cars behind you, and it all looks pretty dark. You know the all is lost moment?
Yes.
This is the all is lost moment.
Of course, the all is lost moment.
And his brother, who hasn't believed him in the whole movie, is suddenly believing in him. And he faces his fears and then comes down and gives him a roaring speech. And he
lifts his spirit?
Yeah, and he starts to crawl towards it.
Does he crawl towards the finish line, without his powers.
Yes.
And he wins the race as a snail without his superpowers. Like a literal snail wins the Indy 500.
Yes. While Guy Gagné is trying to drag his car across the finish line, despite the fact that there's probably some cars behind the accidents that he caused who could eventually actually finish the race if they could get around the massive pileup that he caused. But no, it's between these two people who managed to get ahead of the crash.
Let me get this straight. Mm-hmm. The snail and the bad guy of the movie, which let's just say is a European race car driver, causes a giant crash where they end up in a foot race towards the finish line, and the protagonist wins by a hair.
Yes.
This is Talladega Nights.
But this is the PG version for children. Oh God!
This movie.
Ryan Reynolds voiced Tim.
Ryan Reynolds. This movie sounds like it should be good. Yeah. They have a good idea of a movie.
I mean,
but it's
Snoop
all
Dogg
over the place. Okay, is there a reunion scene between him and the brother where he makes up for stealing the money and ditching him to go follow his dreams while the brother is left in the taco stand?
You would think, but no. They sort of end it on this moment where you find out the plaza where they, were at suddenly has all this business and the taco shop's doing great, and then they go to snail race and all of a sudden Turbo gets his powers back. And that's
he magically gets his powers back?
Unclear. Suddenly his shell is magically healed underneath the arbitrary band-aid that they put on it. I'm not sure why.
The shell healed itself.
Yeah, that's not possible, I think.
Okay. No, it's not. That's not how snails work. That's not how shells work.
I'm not sure this was a very educational movie for children.
I would say not.
So I'm guessing we're not watching this?
We're not watching this movie.
Alright, moving on.
Trolls.
Don't get me started on Trolls.
It's the same movie. Tropic Thunder.